So you're thinking about buying a home in Wells, Maine, and you're trying to evaluate some of the pros and cons before moving to the area. I'm gonna break down just a few important factors for you to consider about the town before you make the big move. Let's get into it. By the way, my name's Margaret, and if you want to know everything there is about living in Wells, Maine, make sure to subscribe below so you can be the first to learn about the market here in coastal Southern Maine. If you have any questions at all about moving to Wells, feel free to give my team and I a call, shoot us a text, or send an email. All that information's in the description below. All right, so a little bit of history about the town of Wells. It was originally founded in 1653, making it the third oldest town in the entire state of Maine. The boundaries of the town also used to include Ogunquit and Kennebunk. So let's get into the pros. The first pro I want to mention is the property taxes in Wells. The property tax mill rate is $10.46 per 1,000 US dollars. To give you a sense of the mill rate in other neighboring towns, Ogunquit is in the $6 range and Kennebunk is almost $15 per thousand. So while it may not be the cheapest in the area, it's definitely lower than some of the neighboring towns. The second pro I want to mention is the farmers market in Wells. While I have seen the location of this change before, it typically goes on from roughly mid-June through the end of September every single summer. The farmers market happens once a week and it's a great way for local residents and tourists to get local produce. The third thing I want to mention about Wells is the fact that it has a great sense of community, and a lot of that stems from their awesome school system. Throughout the year, in the winter and summer, you'll see people get together for big events, whether that's what the school puts on or fun things like runs and parades that the town sets up. Going off of number 3, the fourth thing I want to talk about is the public events that the town puts on. There's a couple of runs that happen throughout the year, the most notable one being the Mid-Coast Marathon. This happens in the late spring every year, and you can either run a 5K, a half marathon, or the full marathon. Wells also puts on something called the Harbor Fest, which happens down by the harbor every year as well. The fifth pro I want to mention is the public transportation in Wells. While there isn't an abundance of your typical public transportation, Wells does happen to have a train station that will take you all the way into Boston. So if you're planning on moving to Maine, but you're not sure if you want to drive all the way down to Boston for work every day, the train could be a great option for you. The sixth thing I want to mention about Wells is the beach. Wells actually has a couple different beaches, the most notable being Crescent on the right side of the jetty and Drake's Island on the left side of the jetty. Both of them are awesome places for you to visit with friends and family. Drake's Island tends to be a little bit more popular, so if you're looking for somewhere a bit more secluded, I would try the Wells Harbor. All right, so the seventh thing I want to talk about is the wildlife reserves in Wells. Aside from just the beach, the Rachel Carson National Wildlife Refuge attracts tons of people to the area, and it's a great way for people to get outside, enjoy nature, and take a look at the unique wildlife here in Wells. Another popular attraction is Lodholm Farm, which is a national research reserve that's absolutely beautiful. People come to Wells to have their weddings at the reserve year-round. All right, so let's get into the cons of living in Wells. The first con I want to mention is the fact that there's not a traditional downtown area of Wells. And while everything is conveniently located right on Route 1, if you're looking for a town center to walk around and find cute little shops and get coffee, you'd have to go to either Ogunquit or Kennebunk. The second thing I want to mention is the zoning in Wells. Like I said, a lot of things are located right on Route 1, and while that is pretty convenient, there are residential homes located on that road as well. The town of Wells also is not quite as manicured as towns like Ogunquit and Kennebunk. And while that doesn't really affect the way the town's functioning at all, if that's something that's important to you, it's something to consider. The third and final con I want to talk about is the erosion in Wells. Erosion is a serious issue wherever there's a big body of water, but with that said, the water definitely takes a toll on the seawall, which does impact those waterfront homes. Though it is important to mention that any erosion in Wells doesn't seem to be affecting property values at all. All right, so you may want to check out all your options in the area, but overall, Wells is a great little town to live in. There's an awesome sense of community, plenty of activities, and overall, it's definitely a strong contender to consider when moving to coastal Southern Maine. So I hope you found this helpful, and if you're looking for real estate in the area, feel free to reach out to my team and I. We would love to help you with your transition, whether that's in 1 day, 1 month, or 1 year. All that information's in the description below. See you next time.